We begin as joblessness continues in San Diego. The result is increasing hunger and homelessness. And this is where the county is supposed to step in to offer a lifeline. But that lifeline too often is frayed. In December, we interviewed Christine Hyatt, who needs help to put food on the table for her family.
I would crawl through glass for my kids, and who cares? If people know I have food stamps, oh well, I'm going to apply for it, and anything that I can do to bring in a little bit extra to support my family, I'm going to do it. It's been a very hard process, and it's been going on a month and a half, almost 2 months. I still haven't even got in for an appointment to see if I qualify. It's very sad that they don't make feeding, if it even wasn't for me, just for the children, they should make that their priority, to make sure that every child in San Diego who doesn't have the ability, or his parents don't have the ability to properly feed them nutritious food, should be able to get that help.
We followed up with Christine this week. Her family still doesn't have food stamps, but is in the process of reapplying. So joining me now to talk about the county's responsibility for providing assistance to San Diego's poor, and if it is being fulfilled, are Andrew Donahue, editor of voiceofsandiego.org, and Barbara Bree, associate publisher and opinion editor of SDNN.com. Andrew, Christine Hyatt called into KPBS radio editors roundtable about her problems with the county food stamp program, and then your team pursued it, profiled her in your investigative series on the county's safety net. Now, what did your series reveal?
Sure. Well, we spent about 2 years looking at sort of the basic core safety net programs at the county, and our investigation revealed that there's just wide gaps in that safety net. So if you're poor and you're in San Diego, you have no less need for these sort of programs, but you're a lot less likely to actually be able to connect with them because of roadblocks that are put up by the county, because the county's not investing it, and because it's clearly just not a priority at the county.
But the county is a huge bureaucracy, Barbara. How much of this can be attributed to staff? How much can be attributed to the elected officials, the supervisors?
Gloria, it all starts at the top. And first, I'd like to commend Voice of San Diego for doing an important series in which they interviewed the 5 county supervisors. And if you read those interviews, it's apparent that a majority of them are in favor of creating roadblocks and making it difficult for people to access food stamps and other health and human services.
And indeed, your series concluded that county government has a historical resistance to providing social welfare programs. What were you able to trace this to? What does it develop from?
Well, I think first of all, it's just a political culture in San Diego that goes back decades and decades, probably to the founding of San Diego. It was a very conservative county. I think what's interesting now is it's starting to shift. So do the policies of the county supervisors shift along with the populace? So that was one thing. The second part is the county supervisors who are in office have all been in office together since the early 90s. And they came into office at a time when welfare fraud and sort of stamping out welfare programs was sort of the politics of the day. And that's all changed a lot. I think we see a lot less welfare fraud than we used to. We see a lot less stigma associated with these programs, but they seem to be sticking with that same fight that they had when they came into office.
Let's talk a little bit about that fraud, Barbara. You've been a journalist in San Diego for a long time. How important is the fact that they came into office at a time when there was some fraud having to do with welfare? I mean, at this point, haven't we gotten past that?
Well, I would hope we've gotten past it, and I really don't understand why they haven't. I mean, the amount of time and money you spend preventing fraud, you would be use those resources to help people in need. And I think it is a mindset that starts at the top, and that it really needs to change, particularly since we have the highest unemployment rate we've had in decades in California, so there's more people who need these services.
Now, can the reasons for underserving the needy be attributed entirely to the county and the supervisors? We put Supervisor Ron Roberts on the record to respond to the criticism the county has received.
Well, the interesting thing, some of the people that are leveling the criticism are state officials who are responsible for cutting the budget. They took over $70 million from the county last year. They're cutting programs throughout the whole area. We're trying to provide wraparound services in a number of different ways, and it's essential that we continue to do that. We're making the changes to get our budget. We're extending and using outside agencies to help us enroll people, for instance, in food stamps. We're making dramatic improvements in terms of getting those people enrolled easier and less expensive. But at the same time that we're being defunded, we receive far less money than any other major county in California. A fraction, for instance, of what San Francisco would receive. And we're doing the very best we can. We want to make sure that we have programs that have integrity, but we give people a chance to get qualified people should have a chance to get those services. And we're working hard to see that happen.
So why does San Diego County receive less money than the other counties?
Well, I think there's sort of two issues. First of all, for administering these programs, it doesn't. All the other counties have received the same sort of cuts that San Diego has. Those other counties have decided to make it a priority to actually be that safety net, be that last resort for their own residents. San Diego's clearly said that, no, we're going to fight that. So that's one point. The second point is, I believe the supervisor's referring to just sort of the general amount of money that San Diego gets from the state. And that's been frozen like that since I think the early 80s with Proposition 13, and that's all based on our own low tax rate. So because we have a low tax rate here, we've frozen ourselves into that funding. So other areas that have higher tax rates are getting more money from the state.
Yet Supervisor Roberts says that things are improving. How do we see that improvement?
Well, I think things are improving, and I was actually at a program several months ago that talked about hunger in San Diego and how few of our eligible people for food stamps actually get it. So using the outside agencies to get people to sign up for food stamps is a good thing and a step in the right direction. However, I disagree with Supervisor Roberts. We are not doing the best we can. Other counties are putting in their own money where the state, when they're losing money from the state, and we are not.
Well, at this point, you have compiled data that indicates that our county is at the bottom of the safety net providers. How reliable is that data?
I think it's as sound and as reliable of a study as there has been. There's obviously always caveats and always estimating and everything like that, and then we make that clear. It's estimates, but the fact is that all this data applies to all these counties as a whole. So what do? We look at where San Diego County stands in comparison to the rest, and we're at or near the bottom in every single one of these programs compared to the other major counties in California.
So you didn't start with the assumption that San Diego was the worst and then looked for stuff to prove that?
Great question. Great question. We started with the idea that there were obviously signs that there were problems with San Diego's safety net. We then started to research how San Diego actually looked compared to other counties to see if that was a trend or isolated incidents, and it became clear that it was a clear pattern and trend there. Yeah.
So how strong do you think now the pressure is on the supervisors to emulate what other counties are doing, go beyond what the state mandates for the needy?
Well, I think because of the Voice of San Diego series, there is more pressure on the supervisors. There's actually real data out there that shows a consistent pattern of behavior. And I don't think many of the supervisors really represent what the citizens of San Diego want done. And hopefully, the citizens and the voters will speak up now.
But aren't we expecting too much from a county that is functioning in such tough economic times?
We aren't talking about millions and millions of dollars. It's not that much money to make a difference in getting more people to enroll in food stamps and to give them the services that they need. It's really a choice. The second thing is, as Andy talked about, we pay less taxes per capita than almost any major city in California. So perhaps there needs to be a mindset in change in the voters in San Diego, and this again leadership has to come from the top.
So does it all have to come down to a change in the Board of Supervisors?
I'm not here to lobby for that. I think what we'll see going forward is do their policies actually reflect what San Diegans want? I think there's plenty of supervisors who can come back and say, this is exactly what my constituents want me to do.
Okay.